Good morning. I'm Pastor Don, and I'm happy that you could join us today. I thought we'd do things just maybe a little bit different. Today I want to share with you a few Old Testament scriptures that are near and dear to my heart. When our message is complete, I'm going to ask you to share with me and the others who are here what Old Testament scriptures speak to your heart, and briefly explain why. Please put them in the comments below, and I know that we will all be blessed in this time of sharing. Now make sure you choose Old Testament scriptures, because next week we will do this again, and that week we will do New Testament scriptures. Well, now you have something to look forward to until next Sunday. Well, let's get right to it. The first scripture I want to share with you is Genesis 7:13 through 16. And it is written, "On that day Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of the 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have breath in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in." Many feel the story of Noah's ark just can't be real. Personally, I've never questioned it. I just took it on faith that it was real and that it really happened. It would also seem that most ancient cultures on earth had in their stories, their legends, myths, and other writings a tale of a great flood as part of their heritage. Now, coming from a construction background, I did marvel at the dimensions that the ship was built. We are talking about a boat that would completely fill the entire playing field, sidelines, and even extend beyond the end zones of Beaver Stadium at Penn State University. Others too have marveled at the size, and now we have a full-scale replica of it, according to the biblical narrative, in Petersburg, Kentucky. Somebody wanted to know for sure if it would actually float or sail. A man in Europe a few years back has proven that now to be true. Scientists built small-scale replicas of the ark, both physically and virtually, conducting tests upon their models, and both experiments found the same thing. The ark was perfectly buoyant in open, raging waters, virtually unsinkable. Now, while this is what most people focus on, the size, shape, and even the believability of this famous boat, I've been drawn to something else. Noah and his family worked hard as a team to pack all those animals in the ark. They had to make preparations for all aboard to have provisions for more than a year. Think about that for just a moment. We've been asked to hunker down and wait out the COVID-19 virus for a few weeks now. Imagine being cooped up with all of those animals for a year. I think sometimes we need to step back and put some perspective to our own situations. But at any rate, once they were all in, I have to ask myself, how did they close the big door and how did they seal it up tight? Again, according to the Bible, it gives us the answer that we have to take on faith. And the words say, "Then the Lord shut them in." And I believe this is to be true as well. And if I think hard enough about it, God loved them so much, He wanted them to have assured survival, that only He could seal the door well enough to ensure their future. It moves in my heart to think about that, because He's actually done the same thing for you and I. We couldn't do it for ourselves, live without sin. Yet he loved us so much and wanted to ensure that we had a future in eternity. So he sent Jesus to do it for us. In effect, the Lord shut us into an eternity in the glories of heaven forever and ever. This is one of those pieces of scripture from the Old Testament that I find very telling for what God was yet to do for humankind, and so very moving to me personally for what he has already done for you and me. The second piece of scripture I'd like to share with you is Genesis 12, 1 through 3. And it is written, "The Lord said to Abraham, 'Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you, and all people on earth will be blessed through you.'" God made a lasting covenant with Abraham that extended down through his family to the nation of Israel. This covenant to this day is still in force. These 7 promises are a reminder to me why I do have this caring feeling in my heart for Israel today. God is pretty clear how he feels about them, and we need to take this all very much to heart, and we need to respect the agreement as it was made. It's very clear on the intent for the future, and nowhere in the Bible does it call this agreement ended nor fulfilled. I believe very strongly that as long as we, the United States of America, respect this godly covenant, stay the true ally of Israel, we will continue to be blessed as it is recorded and promised. Now, for those who have not respected and have not abided by this agreement, I say to you, look to your world history for that answer. Not to the pages of the Bible, certainly they're there, but we want to try and be unbiased a little bit. Look to the world history, for it bears out the ramifications and results of those who didn't. The last piece of scripture I want to share with you today is Exodus 14, verses 10 through 14. And it says, "As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptian army marching around them. They were terrified, and they cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, 'Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have we done by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you, we didn't want to leave Egypt, leave us alone? It would have been better for us to stay and serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert.' Moses answered the people, 'Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still.'" Again, this is another piece of scripture that is very, very important to me. The Jewish nation was literally caught between a rock and a hard place. They were trapped against the waters of the Red Sea, and Pharaoh's great army was surrounding them. They were trapped. In their despair, they called out to Moses, not to ask him for help, but to blame him for the situation that they were now in. And that was simply to either be drowned in the sea or killed or captured by Pharaoh. It was then that Moses spoke these words, "Do not be afraid, and the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." And of course, we know the rest. The waters parted and the nation of Israel escaped. Another miracle of God witnessed by all. I look to these words, and I know that they are just as relevant to me today as they were to the Jews long ago. You see, we too find ourselves in situations that seem to have no way out. be it physical, psychological, or spiritual. We too enter into times of despair and we lose our hope and our faith like loose change falling from our pockets. I go here in my mind when I find myself in this situation, standing on the threshold of some oblivion that I can't figure my way out of. And then the words of Moses ring in my ears. Do not be afraid. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Well, what does this mean, this word still? Well, to me, it means to be calm, quiet, self-controlled, faithful, hopeful, and to be in prayer. You see, not everything we face in this world is winnable or doable by the human being. We are fragile and weak in our flesh. When we can stop long enough to realize that fact, then we can surrender our will to God's will and let the Lord do his thing. God will fight for us in all things if we let him. He stands by, ready even before we ask. But it is us, we humans in our reactionary ways. We get out in front of God and we get in his way when we really just need to step aside, be still, trust and pray, and let God handle this. I've been here too many times in my life. I think I know what is best. And what I really just needed to do was stand aside, be in patient prayer, be still, and let the Lord fight for me. Thanks for listening in today. I hope you've been blessed by something I've shared with you. I hope you can find strength and meaning in these Old Testament scriptures. Now I look forward to what you will share with me and the others. Let me know what Old Testament scripture speaks to your heart and give us a brief explanation why in the comments below. Until next Sunday, take care and may God bless you richly every day.